Welcome, everybody. We'll get started in a minute or two. We'll let some more folks join us. All right, it's 10:15. We'll wait another 30 seconds just to see if we get a few more people that are waiting. See the numbers keep climbing, so we'll just wait a few more seconds and we'll get started. All right, so our numbers have kind of started leveling off, so we'll go ahead and jump in since we have a lot to cover today. So a couple quick notes before we get started. So today we do have closed captioning available today. It sounds like yesterday we didn't have anyone available. So closed captioning is an option today at the bottom of your screen. You can turn that on and off for yourself if you would like to have that. Attendance, just like the other 2 days, don't worry about attendance. You don't need to do anything besides just be here. So you can check that off the list. We will pull attendance out of Zoom at the end of today and do all of that for you. The on-demand option for this course, so we talked about that a little bit yesterday, but in PD Enroller, there are on-demand Schoology courses or a Schoology course. It covers a lot of the same information, but goes a little bit more in detail, and you have the opportunity to collaborate with other folks using Schoology around the state. So look for that if you're interested. That's an additional 6 clock hours if you take that course as well. The slide decks will be available. We'll post the slide decks in the chat for you here today. And then the videos for all 3 days will be available in about a week on the AESD website, which I think one of my co-hosts can help post that link in the chat. Please use the Q&A. So as the sessions kind of go through, I see people raise their hand, but we can't call on you. So we have all of your sound and video muted. So please use the Q&A for questions. And just that final reminder that you should be able to access links in the chat, but you will not be able to use the chat audio or video for yourself. So now that we've got all of those things out of the way, let's go ahead and jump in. So you're on LMS 101 Part 3, so Schoology, the last day. So my name is Amy Colburn out of ESD 189 in Anacortes. Today with me co-hosting, we have Christina. She'll be, I think she had to step away for just a sec, but she'll be back. And then we also, oh, you're back. So Christina, you want to say hi?
I'm so glad you guys are here with us for the final day. Please know that we will follow up today with some resources and information in an email.
All right, so we would like to acknowledge that we're on the traditional lands of the first peoples past and present. We honor with gratitude the land itself and call to action to practice 7th generation thinking and caring for the land and people. So just want to continually bring up honoring Indigenous land as one of the first principles of anti-racist education. So Christina and I have both introduced ourselves. I just want to acknowledge that we have several other people on the call with us today. You'll have the slide deck. This has been in all of the decks, but access to contact information for people throughout the state that can support you in your regions. We also have L'Oreal and Christina as our interpreters today, and we have Melissa as our captioner. So thank you all for being here, and let's keep moving. So part 1 and part 2, so yesterday and the day before, we looked at accessing and navigating Schoology. Day 2, we looked at kind of adding materials, and we didn't get to resources, so we're going to start with that today. So really today we're looking at how you can use your LMS for assessment and communication, and then we'll go back into those resources and kind of dig in to how you can integrate some different tools in Schoology. So I did kind of already went over this, but just to kind of reiterate, so we're going to look at resources, quizzes and assessment, gradebook and record keeping, and communication. So we have a lot to get to today. So there might be times that you're feeling like I'm going too fast, and I will know that. And so you'll have access to this recording. So if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I can't keep up, just do the best you can and know that the recording will be available and you can go back and rewatch portions as needed. All right, so Andrew's gonna give us a Zoom poll for today. So we're really looking at kind of how did it go last night? Were you able to dig in and add content and think about your organizational structure? And then what are you most excited to learn today?
Perfect. So thank you, Amy. So once again, we're going to be launching the Zoom poll, and this one's for day 3 or part 3 of your session. So we're really looking at exploration with adding content, which is what we asked you to do last night. So please reply if you didn't have a chance, if you're able to dabble a little, getting there, or rockstar status. And then what are you most excited to learn today? And I do notice that I missed a letter on that sentence, but that's okay. So when you take the poll, please reply with how you're feeling. We're excited to see your results. So click the poll that was just on your screen. So we're 20 seconds in. We have about 100 people have responded so far. So Amy, what I'm seeing is last night, it looks like we didn't really get a chance to explore, but I do know that Schoology was shut down at the basic level. So if you don't have your enterprise level yet by your district, if that's the choice your district has made, they did have to shut down the basic. They just had a mass amount of teachers across the country try to use it. So probably couldn't get access like we normally could. That will be fixed momentarily or hopefully soon. So on the next one, it's looking like majority of the people in this audience are looking at student and parent-family communications today. Okay. So I'm going to share those poll results.
This is great. Yeah, and I know Schoology is one of those that, you know, I know a lot of you are waiting for your district to set things up. So if that's why you haven't had a chance to dig in, don't worry. You'll have access to all of the recordings and stuff, you know, as you kind of are able to have access and dig in. So, and then for 2, we'll certainly make sure we talk about communication. In Schoology, it's pretty straightforward, I think. So we'll kind of dig in and we'll talk about how you can make sure your parents have access. All right, thanks, Andrew. All right, so and I was kind of giggling to myself a little bit when Andrew was talking. So you might notice this is always a question, and I just thought maybe I'll bring this up really quick, is how do you pronounce Schoology? So I say Schoology, Andrew says Schoology, and some of our other presenters go back and forth. So there is actually a pretty funny video on that Schoology put out on how do you pronounce our name, and spoiler alert, at the end they say you can pronounce it however you want. So for that kind of bothers me because I just want them to tell me. But just so you know, there is a little video if you want a little chuckle. So okay, so let's dig in since we have a lot to get to today. So just as a reminder, these links are available in the slide deck, but we really want to be thinking about these 4 kind of big categories. And we also did want to acknowledge that for you as teachers, especially the social emotional learning, we know that there's a lot going on for the adults in the system as well. So take time, know that this is going to be messy as you kind of dig in more and more. And just know that you're doing the best that you can for yourself and your students. So let's dig into resources. So this is just, I'm not going to go over each of these, but there's kind of just to get you started, particularly those of you that are using Schoology for littles. There's some resources on kind of what you might think about as you start building your content. So let's go, I'm going to go into Schoology. And so I've already logged in. This is just the landing page. And I want to just jump in right away with resources. So we looked a little bit at resources yesterday, but we didn't get a chance to really dig in on what was here. So if I open resources, it lands me to my personal resources. So these are all the things that you're going to save for yourself out of your courses. So yesterday, and if we need to, we can go back in and I can show you how to do this one more time. But this is where that unit 3 that I saved yesterday is here. I had also a couple days ago saved a whole section. So any resources that I have within here are saved to my resources that I can use year after year. So I have the folders, some of the stuff that I'd already put in there. So this is where at the end of a school year, you might go in and save all of your courses to your resources just so you have them available. And then once you have them, if I said, okay, I want to use this get to know you activity, if I go over to the little icon on the right, I can add to a course, and then I can go in and pick whatever sections I want to add it to, and it just shoots it right over. So things that you've already built, you can just use over and over again. So you have your resources. If you look down, there's also a public resources, which is a really nice kind of collection of things that people have shared. They've created and they've said, anybody can use these. So from here, you can search by subject, resource type, level, which is a grade level, file format. So if you know that you're looking for a rubric, you can go in and see what rubrics have people shared, and then highest rated. So you can, just like Yelp or something, you know, Google reviews, you can go in and rate lessons. So you can see what other people have rated it. And search just based on that. So there's some really kind of fun resources in here. Just because of time, I won't, you know, move around too much and kind of look, but once we have something, so if I open, I'll just open, so I just put that little plus and that added it to my resources. So I can also open it and check it. I don't have to add it right away. I could open it and check it out and just see what's all in here. And like reviews, so I could open up some of these PDFs, see what the things are before I decide if I really want to add it or not. So now, so if I go back to personal and then go into downloads, I can see that that grammar lesson from that public site is now just in all of my resources. So I can pull public resources into my resources and just always have them available, so I don't need to keep going back to that public.
Amy, what if I don't see the button for adding resources?
So like if they're in public, they don't have this little button here.
That's what I'm seeing in the chat.
I'm wondering if that might be a difference between the free version and the paid version. I'm wondering if the free version, you can see what's there, but maybe you can't access it. We might check on that and see. It might just also be a, there's so many things within Schoology that the district can turn on and off. So that also might be, if it's an enterprise account, maybe the district has disabled that.
Okay,
so it might
see if I can find a help article on that and add it to our resources.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So if I keep going down, there's a search, so I can search for resources, and that search is everything. If I go to groups, so this is resources that are within groups that I'm a part of, which we haven't really dug into too much. And then apps, this is typically where people go, they want to know more about this. So your resource apps are those apps that you can integrate with Schoology. So you can see on my list here, it defaults to some things that you may or may not use. So Dropbox and Evernote seem to always show up. Those are not two apps that I use, so I just leave them. So I'm not going to approve or deny. They can just hang out there. They're not doing any harm. but Google is often the one that people want to know if they can link, and then possibly OneDrive. So if you're a Google district, you probably want to, you have a bunch of stuff saved in Google, you want to add this one, and then OneDrive. So to get there, they might not be on your resource app list to start with. So this is kind of where there's a couple steps. So, and some of this you just kind of have to play around until it works, and kind of go back and forth to see, okay, where do I need to approve things or add things? So from here, you can go to install apps, or you can go up to the 4 little squares at the top, which we talked about in day 1. So if I click on the 4 little squares and go to the App Center, so this is where I can see all of the apps that are potentially available. So this is one of those caveats that there are some things that you will be able to add yourself, and there are some things that your district will have to approve for you. So if you're trying to add something like Nearpod, so Nearpod is generally people pay for that. It's a subscription that the district may or may not use, or a school. Nearpod is probably not one that you will be able to add yourself, but the district will have to set up that for you and make it available. So as you're going through here, if there's things that you have traditionally used in class that you're trying to add and you can't, you'll want to talk to your district IT folks to see if they can help you or what the process is to add those. So for this, I'm just going to look at, we'll just kind of, for this video, we'll look at Google and OneDrive. So on here, you'll also notice that different apps like Edpuzzle or Nearpod, they don't have any like little tags on them, but Google Drive Resource App, it tells you that it's a resource app. So that's where you're gonna see any resource apps that you add will go into that resource tab where you can approve them. So I've already added Google and OneDrive, but just to see, if I go to Google Drive Resource App, you can click on Install Resource App. You can read this and then you'll agree, and you just want to install it for yourself. So unless it's something that the district or your school has decided to give everyone, you'll want to just install for yourself and then add to my resources, which it was already there, but it will tell you that your changes have been saved. So now I'm going to go back into resources, and I'm going to go to my apps, and my Google Drive, it says I'm not connected yet. So I've added it, but I still need to sign in and give Schoology permission to access my Google Drive. So I'm going to say connect, and you might not, it just gave me a pop-up, so you might not be seeing it, but it's asking me to choose an account. So I'm going to choose my school district account, and it comes up with, again, I'm sorry if you can't see this. It's just asking me if I'm sure that I trust Schoology, which I'm going to say allow. And now my screen is changing, and now everything that I have in Google Drive is showing up as a resource I could potentially use in any of my Schoology courses. So now if I go back to courses and go into my sandbox and I add materials, so there's a lot of steps. So this is where a video recording is going to be nice because you can go back and forth. If I add materials and add an assignment, if I go down to resource and go to apps, Google Drive, I can now pull items out of my Google Drive and add them to my Schoology courses. So that's how you just add a resource. But some of you who have maybe used Google Drive or something before, let's see if I can just add. So I'm going to import the file. This is just adding that document. So it's turned it into a doc as a docx, so a Word document instead of a Google doc. So this is where you, if you're used to using like Google Classroom or something where it makes a copy for each student, there's a whole nother process for this. And this is where the resources tend to get kind of confusing. So working with your district, or even if the district isn't managing this for you, working with a team of people to sort this out and practice before school starts is going to be really important. So if you want to do something where you create an assignment for each student, so it gives them a copy of like a template or something that you want them to work on, that's a different resource. So if you go back up to the little 4 squares and go to the App Center, so there's the Google Drive resource app, but then there's Google Drive assignments. The same is true for OneDrive. So OneDrive assignments versus the actual OneDrive resource app. So this, I really encourage you to just go in and play around and see what does what, because it can get very confusing, especially if you're new to kind of the cloud storage space and how Schoology is working with those different apps. So, and Google Drive assignments, so I'm going to click on this so that just so we can see what the difference is. And let's hope this works for me as I do this. So I'm going to install the LTI app, and I agree. I'm going to install just for me. This is where I need to tell it which courses I want to add it to. So for most people, you're just going to click them all. So I want this Google Drive assignments to be available in all of my classes, not just some. So now it says my Google Drive assignments have been saved. So if I go back to courses and go into Sandbox, add materials, add an assignment. So I can assign from an app. So now I didn't point it out earlier, but before I had OneDrive linked, but I didn't have Google, and now I have both. So you may have both if you have things saved in both platforms, or if you just use Google or just use OneDrive, you can just link one or the other. You don't need both. But now if I go into Google Drive assignments and I pick, so this is where I'll need to connect. So I hadn't linked this part of Google Drive yet. So I'm going to say allow. So now all of these things come up, and let's see, I'm not too worried about what I pick. I just want you all to see what options come up. So I'm just going to pick something. So this is a Google Doc, and I'm going to say attach. And now this window that comes up, just like if you're used to using, if you've ever seen Google Classroom, this is now telling me that this will create a copy of your file for each student. So now students can edit this document. They can do whatever work you've asked them to do before they submit. So this is how you integrate that Google Drive. The same thing works for OneDrive. So if I had picked OneDrive and selected something, it would also make a copy for each student. So that was there's a lot there, but there's a difference between adding a resource versus adding an assignment out of another platform. So I'm just gonna just put something here so I can assign this. So now when students go in, that assignment to try, when they click on that, they will have access to this Google Doc, and when they open it, they can edit, they can make changes before they submit their assignment. Okay, so that was, we can come back to resources if people have questions about that, but I'm gonna move on for now. And I just to reiterate, the resources and the apps, there's a lot going on in there. So really work with your district or your team at your school to figure out what resources do you have access to, how do you integrate them if you need special permissions, what does, kind of what is your, the plan for the school year.
Really quick before we move on, if we add these resources to our course, do students have to add them as well, or will they be there for students?
They will be there for students. So if you've added, that, like I added Google, and they can access this document here, they won't need to do anything special on their end. They can just open this document and make changes.
But like for like the Ingenuity and other resources, those would go to all the students then, right?
Yes, and the Edgenuity and some of those really kind of robust applications, just really work with your district on those. So if your district is using one of those bigger platforms, the IT department in your district will have to make all of that integration seamless. So you'll certainly want to work with your district, if you have something like that as part of your plan for the year.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's dig into quizzes and assessments. So we'll look at tests and quizzes and think a little bit about using formative assessment. So this is one thing, like most online platforms, they're always doing updates. And so some of you may have already noticed, and some of you will notice, that when I go into my course and I'm going to add materials, we skipped over test and quizzes yesterday. Some of you, this might already be gone. So Schoology is actually converting test and quiz, and they are going to change it to add assessment. So this, we're not gonna, there might be some changes. It's hard to tell exactly what's gonna be the same versus different until I have access to it. But it should be pretty similar. Some of it's just a name change. If you have the free version of Schoology, the test and quiz might already be gone. It sounds like the enterprise version, you'll have access to both for a little while, and then it will go to just assessments eventually. So if you already have access to both, I would suggest only using the assessment, just to avoid, there is a way to convert test and quizzes over to assessment. There's some Schoology articles on that already, but if you can, avoid test and quizzes and just work in assessments if you have that option. So we're just going to open this just to see what it's like. So for test and quiz, the first screen, you're going to name. So really similar to like an assignment. So you have the name, different grading categories and periods, which we'll get into in just a few minutes. So a lot of the same options that you might have seen before. So Schoology has a built-in assessment creator. So you could certainly, if you've linked your Google, if you're used to using like Google Forms and quizzes for students, you can still continue to use those and link them using that resource application. But you could also create tests and quizzes within Schoology. So this is really kind of up to you on how much you and your co-teachers or your teacher team, but this is available here. So you can pick a due date, a time. So we talked about this a little bit yesterday, and points, all of that stuff. So a lot of the same features as before. You can also copy a test or a quiz. So once you have questions, so this is not enabled right now, but you can, there's a kind of a lot to set up for a test or a quiz. So if you're gonna do something where you have like a weekly kind of check-in, or maybe it's a unit check-in, once you have something set up, you can make a copy, and then you don't have to do quite as many of the little details. So from here, I'm just gonna say create. And now this is the screen where I'm going to actually create the test or the quiz itself. So this should look pretty similar to the assessments if you have that available. A lot of the features are going to be the same. So from here, I can add a question, and here's where I see all of the different options for test or question types. So true, false, multiple choice, fill in the blank, matching. You can just do text. So if you need some instructions, something like that. So once I figure out what kind of questions do I want, I can go into and just start adding questions. So maybe I start with, this was an essay question. So maybe this isn't a quiz, maybe it's just a check-in. So you can tell the test or quiz to grade or not grade. So as you're thinking about, especially now that we're not in person with kids, most of us are starting remotely. Maybe you have a weekly check-in with kids where you're just asking them some of those social emotional learning questions. So you can keep things ungraded if you just want to do quick check-ins with kids. So from here, I could, anything that has a question mark, if I hover over it, it will give me more information. So some of these are more straightforward than others, but do I want them to limit their responses, or do I say there's a minimum? Allow audio or video answers for students. So if I check this box, they are now have other options when they're going in and taking their assessment. So this is especially nice for students who, especially like maybe littles, if they're not quite at the point where they're typing yet, maybe they can, if you hide, you could even hide the text field so they only have the option to record audio or video. And you can also time questions is an option. So if I keep scrolling down, so I could grade this, I could give it point values, or I could just keep it ungraded. I could attach a rubric, which we'll get into in a few minutes. So then before you move on, and I've done this, you have to create the question. If you move on before you do this, anything that you've put in here will go away. So I'm going to create question.
Kind of like the save button.
Yes, it is a lot. I'm so used to, I think a lot of us are getting more and more used to working in a cloud space where you don't have to save, and that'll get you on this one. So you just want to make sure you click that create button before you don't lose everything. So from here, so now this is question number 1. I just keep saying add question, and it will, I can just keep building my quiz or my check-in or whatever it is that I'm building. So I would just, maybe I go to fill in the blank. So now I have, I can create that question type. I'm just going to cancel. I won't go through all of that.
So, Amy, I noticed that you had, in the last question, you had added it so that students could respond by audio or video. Is that something that the teacher can do too? Like, can they create the question with audio or video?
That's a good question. Let's just go in and see. So if I go to...
Because we're thinking about our littles. If they can't read or write, and they're going to have to respond that way, it would be great if our questions could be that way too.
Yeah, so if I look on, a lot of the features are going to be similar as we think about like how did we add assignments or how did we add pages, other things. So when we look at this text box, so where I'm gonna, I just picked a true false question, which was the first option. So I could type something in here. Thinking of on the spot questions is hard, so I won't, I can just, you know, blah, blah.
You're just giving us an example. It's okay if the question is
not
awesome.
So I can put text in the text box, and then if I look down at the bottom, this little microphone is always the audio and video recording. So you can, in fact, on whether it's a test or a quiz or just a check-in, you can do this audio video recording. So if I click on this guy, I can just do audio, or I can record audio and video like a normal video. So
Thank
yes.
you so much. That's awesome. And that will be invaluable to our teachers this fall.
Yep. Yeah, so there's some really nice, Schoology has some really nice built-in features. And while we don't think of Schoology often for littles, there are a lot of features that once you know they're there, they can be used and your littles can still have access to the content. All right, so let's just go ahead. We'll just create this question. So now you just keep building questions until you're ready. So, and at the top, it does say that you have 2 questions and 2 points. So if I were doing a check-in where I didn't want it to be graded, of course, I'd want to go back in and make sure that you know, is telling me that it's worth 0 points. But from here, one thing I do want to point out, because in Schoology, most things, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, if things are published or unpublished. And in tests and quizzes, you have to enable submissions. So even if it's published, if you don't enable submissions, students won't be able to actually go in. So even right now at the top, you can see at the top of my screen, it says submissions disabled. So even if I've saved this, I think I'm all ready to go. I still need to go to, settings. Sometimes it get lost in here. So if I go to settings, I could put instructions for the test or the quiz. So what do I want students to read before they take it? Submissions, I can enable just fully, so it's all the way on, ready to go, or I could do a from and until. So if I only want them to have access to this for, you know, a couple days or a week, I can, if I select this option, I can put in dates and times for when it starts and ends.
So
And
if
then,
it was published but not enabled for answers, could the students still see the questions so that they could use it as a study guide?
let's check. That's actually a good question. So I'm gonna disable this and let's see. Let's just save it. So remember in Schoology, you can view things as a student. So if I go to preview, let's just see. So I'm going to go and view this as Janice Joplin. So I can see that there's a practice test and it's due next Friday. So if I click on this, because as the teacher, I disabled it. So right now, this test quiz is not currently accepting submissions. So I do not believe that if you've disabled submissions, it looks like you cannot see the actual questions.
Thank you for walking us through that. That's going to be something that we would want to know. And I know we're not right there at a moment, but earlier you had spoke about Google Forms being used.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some questions about, would that go into the grade book? Like, what's the benefit of using tests and quizzes in Schoology versus Google Forms that I may have used before?
Yeah, that's a good question. So if you have used test and quizzes, the feature that's built into Schoology, it's going to pull your grades directly. If you use a Google form, so let's see if I can do this on the fly. So I'm going to now add it as an assessment or as an assignment, sorry. And I can pull, you could do that as a link. So there's probably, you know, like most things in an LMS, there's 10 ways you could do it. But let's just say I put the resource to a form. I'm trying to think through how I might do this, and there's several ways. So I'm going to go to
You're doing great. On the fly questions are hard.
So if I go to Google Drive resource, this is an untitled form, so there's probably no questions, but I'm just going to click this. So I clicked it and I could build the questions. So right now there's no actual questions in here, but that's okay. So, oh, it's not even going to let me. Okay, so actually this is a good learning. So I can't connect any forms from the resource drive. So what I'd want to do is share this as a link. So Google Forms, I can pull the link for the form and I could put the link in, add it as a link attachment or even just put it in the body of the text. And
Can
then
you add it as a link attachment? There's been a lot of questions about how to add a link.
Yeah, so let's just go in.
And then I wonder if it would connect to the gradebook. I don't think it will, because if it's being a link, it's going to just go into the normal form.
Yeah, you would have to put, you could still have it be a graded assignment. So if I had a form, you guys are seeing all of my whatever forms I've ever created. Let's just open this one. Maybe. Okay, so there's obviously nothing in here. That's okay. I can still show you the process. So from a Google form, so you've created your form, you could turn it into a quiz. So if you did want it to, Google Forms would grade it for you and still kind of do the normal like a quiz would. So if I made this a quiz, okay, I won't go through all the options here, but now if I go up to the top where the send button is, so I'm going to click send. And I can send via, and I'm going to click the link option. And I always just shorten the URL just so it doesn't get so crazy. So from here, I'm going to copy this link. So I'm going to click copy. Now I'm going to go back into Schoology. And I can, if I go down to the bottom where that link is, I can link this form. And then I could say, I could give it a different title. maybe it's a check-in survey that I'm going to have students take at the end of every week or something. So if I attach that file, now when students open this assignment, they have that link to that survey, they open it up and it'll take them right to the Google form. So there's probably some other ways you can do that as well, but that's maybe how I would do that. And then from here, so this on the teacher end, it's going to take a little bit of, you might have to kind of go back and forth, but I can still have this be graded. So I could still say this is a check-in, so it wouldn't be, but if it were a quiz or something, I could still say that this is worth 10 points, but I would have to go in and manually type in the point values in Schoology gradebook.
So I could enter it, but it's going to take me a little bit more steps and clicks.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. There was a question just in the same spot is, you know, if I have a Google Doc as an assignment or as a quiz, I can make a copy for each student of that, right?
Yes. So that was, yeah, so that was using the, that assignment to try. We kind of walked through that. Oh.
Yeah, I think I remember that. I just wanted to double check that I wasn't crazy.
Yeah, so you have to have the integration of the Google Drive Assignments app, and then you'll be able to do that, create a copy for each student. Yeah, there's a lot going on in Schoology. So some of it's just kind of playing around until you find the process that works best for you. Because like I said, there's several ways to do everything, and some of it's just going to be a preference, as well as some of it will just depend on what your, if it's a district, you know, enterprise account, what they've enabled or disabled. So just a few things to think about.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go to, there's other things that we could probably play around with in testing quizzes, but I want to make sure I know since one of the biggest things was communication, and then I do want to talk about the gradebook a little bit. So we can certainly come back if there's still more questions, which I'm sure people have, but I want to make sure we cover at least a little bit of some of the other topics. So I'm going to go back into here. So let's look at the gradebook and record keeping first, and then we'll end today with communication. So in Schoology, the kind of the biggest thing to say, and this is true for any LMS, is really working with your district to find out what policies they have in place, and then what kind of Schoology does integrate with like Skyward and other student information systems, but your district IT folks would have to have that set up. So checking with them to see what they're doing in the background is always good practice. So some of these, as we dig into the gradebook, some things you will be able to change. And for some of you, a lot of this will already be locked and set for you. So as you get into your own Schoology, you'll find out what they've kind of set up for you and what they haven't. So within a course, the first thing before you go even into gradebook, you'll want to go to grade setup. So within grade setup, there's the first thing you can do is think about the categories that you want for your course, and if you want to weight them. So if I want to add a new category, so it'll default with nothing, so you'll want to add something if your district hasn't done it for you. So if you click the add button, you can add a new category. So if I, let's see, let's just do check-in. And maybe I want this calculated by total points. So the difference between total points and percent, it defaults to total points, which is traditionally how we think about calculating a grade. If you calculate by percent, it will take, if a student got 100% on something and 60% on something else, it will say that the average is 80% regardless of if it was a test or just, you know, like a daily check-in. So you probably want to keep it on total points unless your district or school has decided on a different method. You can also drop the lowest scores. So if I said I want to, you know, drop the lowest 3 check-ins throughout the semester, the school year, or whatever your grading period is. And then, let's see. Oops. Okay, so then weight. So these you can just type in something for that. You don't need to worry about the weight because once you have it in here, you can change it. So the weighting on here, if I change this all to, and I could not find why they said 100 was making them all even, but if you put them all in as 100, it will evenly disperse all the categories across 100%. So from here, you can change these if you want warm-ups to be worth nothing. I can still keep track of them in the grade book, but they're not going to count towards the total grade. If I put 0 in as the weight, it's now worth 0%, and the rest of the 100% gets distributed across the other categories. So the other thing on here at the far right, the star, this is your default. So as you're creating assignments, if you know most things are going to be individual practice, you can star that and it'll just default to individual practice as you're creating assignments. So kind of handy if you're always using one category more than others. Grading periods, this is one of those, if you have a district enterprise account, your district has probably already set this up for you. If you're using the free version, or if you have a paid version but it's not attached to the district, you can create your own grading periods. So mine, I won't be able to change, but if I did have access, I could go to edit. And if you can add, if you have access to add, you can manage periods, and then it's, you could give it a name, and then you just put in a start and an end date. So if I were creating a grading period for this first semester, I might say 2020-2021 semester 1, and I could put the first day and the last day of the semester as the grading period. Gradebook scale. So numeric is going to just show a percentage for students. The A plus minus gives them a grade. So again, if you might only have one option on here, so typically, you know, a district will have an actual letter grade as opposed to just the numeric scale. You can also have it round final grades for you. So there's just some other options. You can kind of keep scrolling. All of these have the little question marks so you can see, you know, what do these mean? So do you want to be able to override grades, that kind of stuff. So once you're done with changing some of these options, you'll want to save changes. So again, this is one of those, don't do all that work and then not save it. That's frustrating. And then on the right side, there's scales. So once again, like most things, this is, if your district has an enterprise account, you will not probably be able to change a whole lot over here. But scales, so you can add, if I go to A plus minus, I can at least see what this scale is. So this is something that's defaulted in my account, but it's telling me the range for the letter grades. Pretty standard. And then if I go to rubrics, I can add rubrics. There's no default rubrics in here, but I can add a rubric. And this is a really nice, if you're someone that's used rubrics, you know, when you were before you had an LMS, you can build the rubrics within Schoology the same as you had them before. So from here, they just take a little bit of work, but once you have them, you can save them. So it's kind of cutting off the edge, but I think we can still see. So if you are grading based on standards, you can go to learning objectives, and I'll just pull one of these just so we can see what it looks like. So if I click on some of these learning standards, let's say I pick these 3. So I say add learning objectives. It's all been filled in for me. So the criteria and its description. I can still go in and change the grading scale. So instead of excellent, maybe I want this to be, you know, I can change the 1, 2, 3, 4. I can also change the numbers. So I could add another column. So if I wanted my scale to be 1 to 5, I could change that. I could also, I know right now, like 1-point rubrics are kind of a big thing. So you can change this so that you either did this thing or not. So I could say, you know, whatever I wanted this to say. So you can see for each criteria, you can modify it to have however many point values or whatever scale you'd like, and you can change the description. So if you want more than just needs improvement, you can actually write more of a description for what that might look like, and then you can create. So, oh, I need a rubric. I need a title. So if I say create, that rubric is now available that I can attach to any assignment that I create or any material that I add to a course. So from here, just a quick reminder that the grade setup is for each individual course. So once you have this grade setup in here, if you are creating rubrics, if you go over to the little settings cog, you can copy over to other courses, so you don't need to recreate the same thing over and over again. So just something to be aware of. But these categories and grading periods and all of that stuff, you'll need to do that for each course. So just something to keep in mind. Okay, let's look into the gradebook really quick. The gradebook has a couple different features from here. So you can sort using some of the features at the top of the screen here. You can also override if you have that option selected. So I've said that for assignment number 1, Janice got 95, but maybe I went back in and I looked at that and I said, well, okay, she did some edits. Maybe now I'm going to change that to 100. So you can override individual assignments. If when you hover over a box, you'll also see a little flag. So I can mark with an exception. So I can go in and excused, incomplete, or missing. I can also on the right corner, I can add a comment. So if I need to include something, and I can display that to students, which is just nice, another way to communicate with students. At the top 3 little dots, anytime you see the 3 little dots, that means there's more options. So there's a whole bunch of things here. This is like marking all empty cells as excused. You can set all grades. So if it was something, a check-in, and all the kids did it, I could say, I want to set all of the grades for this assignment to 100, and it will just default them all to that grade. And track revisions is one that I just wanted to point out. If I look at track revisions and then go to Janice, she's my only student, I can see how her grade for this assignment has changed over time, and I could revert to a previous grade. So just kind of a nice thing to know where that's at. And then I can also export. So if I go up to the top here, I can export these grades if I need to, maybe I need to print them or something else.
Before you move on, there's a quick question there. Will the incomplete or missing codes count the assignment as a 0 in the gradebook?
Ooh, good question.
Kind of like, I'm thinking Skyward, because that's what Skyward normally does. If I say missing, it makes it a 0.
Yeah, so I just tested it because I actually couldn't remember off the top of my head. So I just selected missing and it did default to 0. And an incomplete, ooh, I'm not sure what that means. Maybe we can look that up really quick.
Yeah, I'll look it up in the background while you go into parent and student communication.
Okay. Because excused also does a little line, which excused, I would assume doesn't, it's not negatively affecting their grade. So maybe we can look real fast. I think missing does default to 0, but it's a good question. Okay, so before we move on, we want to talk a little bit more about communicating with parents. Schoology has a separate app for parents. So we talked about this a little bit on day 2, but if you go into members, the parent access code button is underneath the access code. So this parent access code, a parent only needs 1 access code to access anything that their students are doing in Schoology. So if you have a high school student and they have 6 courses from 6 different teachers, they only need 1 access code and they'll be able to see everything for their student. So some districts choose to provide parent access codes at like the district level, and they just send them out just so that parents aren't being bombarded with codes since they all give them the same access. Some schools would choose to do this. Maybe an advisory teacher sends out the parent access codes. So you'll want to, if your whole school or district is using Schoology, this might just be something that you want to check with the leadership to see what is their plan, or do they have a plan, or you know, just what do they want to happen with access codes, just so that it's not overwhelming for parents. So if I click on parent access code, I can download, and I think this happened on day 2. When I open it, you won't be able to see it. Let's see. Yeah, it's opening as a separate file, but it's giving a separate access code for each individual student. So if I were the advisory, maybe as an advisory teacher, I'm going to send these out. I would email Janice's parents individually with the specific access code for her parents. So once a parent has an access code, so I'll go back to, so if I'm on Schoology.com, when I go to sign up, if I'm a parent, you would want to have parents go to the parent sign up. Oh, I'm already logged in, so it's not gonna let me do that. But when the parents log in, they're gonna put in their access code, and then they'll be able to see and access all of their students' information. So from there, and this is true for students as well. So in terms of communication, like what all do they wanna see? Each user can change their own notification settings. So if I go back up to parents and students would do this as well. So if I go up to my name and I go to settings, the second tab over is notifications. And this is where parents and students would also want to go, and they can customize what are they going to get emailed to them. And if they want to, they can also choose to send notifications to their phone via text. So
I love that, because most parents are on their phone and text more than they are email. As you finish up this, there was a question about if a parent has more than one student, do they need an access code for each student?
Yes. Yes. And when when a parent creates an account, there is an option in their account. They won't have 2 separate accounts. There's an option to add a student or add a child on their view. So once they click on add another student or add another child, they'll just enter that second access code, and then they're good to go.
And then all their notifications and settings would be the same for all children.
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Yep. So you can see, I'll just kind of scroll through. We won't talk about all of them, but there are lots and lots of notification settings that you can choose to turn on or off. The teacher generally has more, just because it wants to know, you know, do you want to be notified for every little thing or just some things? But students and parents will also have a number of options to select from. And just to remind you, we did talk about this on day 1, but that seems like a long time ago. In materials, so when you add materials and they're going to the students, the parents can see anything that was assigned to their student. But updates is something that a lot of teachers choose to use just kind of as a message board, you know, just keep folks up to date on what's happening. And you can choose these updates because they're not going to like individual students like an assignment. You can choose if parents can see these updates or not. So as you're typing in here, this little word bubble with the plus, if I click on that, it's defaulted to allow parents to see this update. But if for some reason you wanted this to stay just within the class, you could uncheck that, and now that parents wouldn't be able to see that update. So just a quick, that's one more way to communicate with parents. If you always just keep that on, they can see any updates that their kids see as well.
And is there any translation options for parents of other languages? Like, could they get it in a different language?
I do not believe that's an option. I haven't played around as much in the parent version. So the parents might have some options, but I don't think that's a feature built into Schoology, but I could be wrong.
That's wonderful. Well, we are getting close. We got 2 minutes.
Okay, so let's pop back in. And there's just so much in here that Schoology does have that really good help page. So a lot of things, if I forget or I'm just not quite sure, going down to the bottom of the page and going to support and then going to help center is a great resource. You can just type in a topic and you'll get all sorts of help information. So before you leave us today, if you could take our day 3 reflection, so thinking about not only today, but just the whole series, if you could give us a little bit of feedback, that would be wonderful. So someone
And I sent all the resources out via email 1 second ago. So you will have everything from the last 3 days.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, and we'll come back to this page just to end, but after this series, connect with colleagues in your district around grading and attendance and all the kind of things just for consistency within Schoology. And then keeping up on that AESD website. So we'll have the on-demand courses. They're actually already there if you are interested in those. They will also have LMS 201 coming soon in the next month or so. So just keep your eye on that website. You'll also be getting, anything that was forwarded to you for this session. We'll be kind of communicating in the same way for the next, kind of the upcoming opportunities. And we thank you all for being here, and just make sure to take that reflection for us and have a good rest of your day. Anything else, Christina, for the good of the order?
No, some people said they didn't get the email quite yet. It has everything in the chat, and it may take a couple minutes for it to process. So just hang tight. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.